So hello, welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Plenty of Newcastle United content coming your way. Videos about the Premier League and about football in general as well. Today's subject is one that we've covered before, but it's been such a bad weekend for this subject that we have to cover it again, and it is VAR. I can't believe we are here again 2 weeks after my last rant about VAR, talking about it again. But what a dismal week it has been. And my point was a fortnight ago that something drastically has to improve or you scrap it. This weekend, another very, very, very poor showing, which confirms it's just not working. VAR as a concept, nothing wrong with it. I think if you can ensure it's close to 100% that these decisions are going the right way, that someone's not going to miss out on Champions League football or going to get relegated because of a dodgy decision. It's because the video system referee has made sure the right decision has been taken. Then fine, you welcome VAR. But this weekend has proved it's just not working. We thought we had a bad cover in Newcastle United this weekend. Alexander Isak adjudged to have fouled Nico Henry in the box. Chris Kavanagh didn't even blink at that challenge. He's then called over by the video assistant referee down in England, and then he takes 20 replays to come to the decision that's a penalty for Brentford. I mean, how on earth, first of all, down in England decides that the referee's got to go over to the pitch side monitor, and then Chris Kavanagh decides after watching the replays it's a penalty. It's never a penalty. It's a limited contact at best. The play's gone. Rico Henry's not even winning that ball. Utterly bizarre. We thought we had it bad, and then you watch what Brighton had to put up with at Spurs, and goodness me, what was it? 5, 6 questionable, very questionable decisions, and you just have to ask the point of what is the point of VAR? If you're a Brighton fan, you'd be rightly fuming. But I think if you're a fan of football in general, you should be rightly fuming. You should be worried because it's clear that if your team are wanting these decisions, it's more than likely not going to go in the way it should. This is not a Newcastle United bias thing. This is a Premier League football thing. It's not working. We're losing. Brighton are potentially going to lose out on a European spot because of yesterday. Imagine if you're Brighton and you lose out on a Champions League spot by 3 points when you should have had at the very least 2 goals and 2 penalties. You're going to be absolutely raging, aren't you? And Howard Webb, head of VAR, has come out and he's apparently been in contact with Brighton, and he's said he should have had a penalty challenge on Matoma by Holberg. He should have had a penalty. Wow, okay, what's that going to do? It's yet another apology. And actually reading up on it, they've also had 2 previous apologies from Howard Webb, one against Crystal Palace in February and then one for a tackle on McAllister versus Aston Villa. What are these apologies going to do? What are these apologies going to do? If Brighton had won, they would have been just a point behind Spurs with a game in hand. And yet the table looks so much worse because of yesterday's result. Again, they should have won. They were the better side, and you never want to win because of VAR, but it's there to make sure that if you deserve to win because of a foul, because of a goal, that it's given in your favour. And yet again, we are standing here just saying it's not working. It's not working. I mean, that Matoma foul, it blows your mind. I mean, Holberg has clearly caught his foot. It's a clear penalty. And then the one on Lewis Dunk, you can clearly see the defenders pulling his shirt and nothing's given. I just don't understand what the video system referees are watching when they're not given these fouls. And then when they are given the fouls, I don't understand what they're watching. Like the Newcastle United game, how does a video system referee come to the conclusion that that's a penalty? It's an absolute mess, and no apology is going to make this any easier for Brighton. And it worries me as a football fan, it worries me as someone that covers Newcastle United, that if Newcastle United miss out on the Champions League because of a decision that hasn't gone the right way, if VAR was not there and a mistake was made, human error was made, you go, okay, you'd be annoyed, but it happens. There's no backup, there's no safety net. Here there is. This is what VAR is meant to do. It's meant to eradicate all the errors. And it's just not. It's just making people more frustrated, more angry that there's technology that's come in that removes, what many people liked about football in many ways, the debate in the pubs afterwards, it's removed that. Okay, I can accept that as long as it's working, and it's not working. What's the point in it? It's meant to stop these silly errors, and it's not. It's just not working. And it's so frustrating. How do you fix it? $1 million question. Do you scrap it? Do you scrap it altogether? I have to say I'm kind of edging further and further towards that. Newcastle have actually been quite lucky, I think, this season in many instances with VAR. It's gone in their favour, but even with that, considering that, it's just not been good, has it? It's just not been good. There've been instances when Newcastle have missed out on penalties and what have you. For me, it's the lack of consistency which is the issue. As I said earlier, I don't think VAR as an idea, as a concept, is the issue. It's the lack of consistency, and just the officials are clearly inept. They clearly cannot handle it. Do you get ex-professionals in? A lot of people say, well, then you've got to worry about bias. But maybe getting ex-professionals in who have played the game might work. At the very least, it can do no harm for a trial period to see if, these results, these decisions are actually, the right ones. Let's get them in for, to the end of the season. Trial it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It can do no worse than the current officials are already doing. And we don't want to hear on referees. It's a tough job. But goodness me. You've got all them screens down Stockley Park. I just don't understand. You watch a match of the day, they're able to zoom in, slow it right down, and I know that would take more time. But if they're able to do that, then maybe that's something maybe the VAR should look into. Can they do that? One thing that is for certain, though, and Ben, when I've just said that, the time it is taking for decisions to be made, and then wrong decisions as well, is unbelievable. I mean, the decision yesterday to award Brentford a penalty, it must have taken, 5-6 minutes, and then it was the wrong decision. And then on top of that, people actually in the ground who have paid money to go down, Newcastle fans travelling down, the Brentford fans there, they don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on. They're waiting and waiting. There's no communication. And then when the decision is finally given, they're showing a pathetic little replay on a screen in the corner, which you're probably going to miss. You see once and then you're left scratching your head thinking, well, we're there. There's more questions here than there are answers. So I said this in the last video. I think you should probably mic up the referees. I think we need to be understanding what they're seeing to make this a decision. What did Chris Kavanagh see that made him decide that actually, that was a foul by Isak on Henry? What did he see? Because I've watched it over and over again and I can't see it. I mean, at worst it's clumsy, but again, very limited contact. The ball's gone. And if that's a penalty, the Matoma one's certainly penalty. The Share one against Manchester United, he deserved a penalty for that one. The Share one against Manchester City, that's a penalty. This is it. There's no consistency. In a way, if Isak's foul, is given against him, okay, you'd be unhappy. But if the consistency is there, which means that the one against Share was given, and the one against Share against Man United and the one against Share against Manchester City is given, then it doesn't hurt as much because there's consistency. But there is a lack of it, and it is making VAR so unlikable, and it's just going to get worse, I think, before it actually gets better, isn't it? It's just not on at all. It's interesting that Jim Reuben, the co-owner of Newcastle United, came out yesterday and questioned VAR. He came up with some kind of solutions in his mind to how you could potentially fix the issue. He wanted a time limit on how often on how long referees can decide, i.e. looking at the monitor. And I suppose it also applies to those at Stockley Park, how long they take to make a decision. Because if it's taking 5 minutes, it's clearly not an obvious error, is it? If it's taken that long to overturn a decision or to award a penalty that wasn't given in the first place, then it's clearly not an obvious error. So he tweeted out yesterday and he said, it's not specific about the day, i.e. Newcastle, but it's clear VAR, while positive addition, takes too much time and varies to inconsistently from game to game. So that's the point about it being inconsistent. Perhaps we should allow VAR officials to review the play only twice for maximum 1 minute. If they can't derive an opinion from that, then it's unlikely to be a clear and obvious mistake, and the on-pitch decision should then be allowed to proceed. Now, I don't know if Jamie Reuben's there suggesting that you use it a bit like Hawkeye, where you've got maybe you're not going to have challenges, but it's interesting he says there two, only review it twice. Does that mean only 2 instances again? I'm not really sure what he means by that, or does he mean kind of looking at it twice? Either way, I don't know about that. Do you limit the use of VAR if you're going to have it? Then if you're going to limit it, what's the point of having it? I would argue. And then looking at it twice, again, I think I don't agree with that. I think time limit definitely. If you want to say a minute, 2 minutes, and in those 2 minutes you can look at as many angles as you want on it, but you've got 2 minutes to decide. Because after that, again, if it's taken more than a minute, 2 minutes, it's clearly not a clear and obvious error, which is what it's brought in to do. I want to see them mic'd up, and also send them over to the TV monitor every single time, regardless if there's something to look at. I just think, because every time they run over to that monitor, you're anticipating a decision to be changed or a decision to come, the way, i.e. the penalty. Didn't award a penalty, goes over to the monitor. As soon as he goes over that monitor, more than likely, it's going to be awarded a penalty. Send them over and remove the expectation that a decision is coming. Because, like I say, as soon as the monitor pops up, you're thinking the referee's going to change his mind or he's going to award something that he hadn't awarded. And it's putting unfair pressure on the referee to change his mind. The referees, on-pitch referees, have got to be stronger. They've got to stand up to those. At Stockley Park, they're refereeing the game in the moment. They're on the spot. It does seem that referees are either hesitant to make a decision because they know VAR, ironically, is the safety net. It's not though, is it? But that's what I think is happening in their mind. And then they do seem a little bit hesitant to say, actually, no, I think you guys down at Stockley Park have got that wrong. I've got it right. That's not a penalty, or it is a foul, or what have you. They've got to stick by their guns unless there's a clear and obvious error. Yesterday, it wasn't a penalty against Newcastle United. Brighton robbed of 2 penalties, arguably as well. Matoma should have had a goal. Was it a handball? Hits him about here, doesn't it? I'm not really sure how that's a handball. I'm not really sure at all how that's a handball. But again, if you're Brighton, you're absolutely raging at that VAR. It's just not working. It's not working at all. Howard Webb can give out all the apologies he wants, but it's not going to make a difference to Brighton's European aspirations. So frustrating. I'm glad I'm kind of doing this video not from on the back of Newcastle United being robbed by VAR, because I'd be even more angry than I am now. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few weeks, whether they do. Do they mic up referees? Do they scrap it till the end of the season? Do they bring in ex-professionals to the end of the season? He's going to have to be seen. I think Howard Webb is going to have to be seen to be doing something to try and fix the absolute chaos of VAR. It's not working. It's not doing the job it was brought in to do. It's not the safety net it was meant to be. It's just creating frustration and anger. And it's going to rob teams of European places, places in the Premier League. And that's not good enough. VAR not working. It's got to be fixed. Hopefully the solution isn't too far away. Yeah, VAR, I'm not a big fan at all.